How many of you are teachers? Are any of you educators?
Uh, yeah, I don't know if I should call myself a teacher, but yeah, I'm into training. I'm a corporate trainer.
Then you are an
And
educator. Maybe I should use the word
yeah,
educator.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Hi,
Yeah,
good morning, everybody. Even I'm working in a school. So, yes, we are educators. And I would say, end of the day, we are all educators because a lot of people learn from us in many ways.
So, what does it feel like when an educator keeps the camera off on a session?
And that too on a Sunday. So, you can't expect an educator keeping the camera on.
You're a student today. I'm the educator. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
yeah.
Okay.
Hi, this is Ashish here.
Yes,
I'm in
Ash.
the process of setting up a school here in Hyderabad. So, which category you put me into is up to you now.
Okay, so I don't know if there is ever a moment in our lives when we are not educators. And I think
Accept that.
because somebody is watching. At all
Yeah.
times, somebody is watching. And so what we do, how we present ourselves becomes key. So I'm going to start with a disclaimer. And my Prashant, were you saying something? Sorry.
Yes.
We're losing you. Can't hear you.
He's at the airport, I think. We can't hear you, Prashant.
Oh, sorry. Okay. My internet connection is unstable. Boy. Okay. Right. So, my disclaimer, this is not a parenting workshop. I mean, I have two sons. They are 22 and 25 now. And while I have done parenting, I don't know if any of us are really born to that role. We arrive at that role, and then things happen, and then we just take it on the run, and we do whatever we think is best at that point in time to make our lives and our children's lives easier. So this is just, the time we're going to be spending together is really trying to figure out what is parenting role. And are there better ways of dealing with our role as parents? Because sometimes I think more than our working lives and working relationships, our relationships with our children seem to go a lot deeper, cause some of the greatest joys and the greatest pains of our life. So we're just here to have this conversation. I'm here to challenge you in a way, something that I've been trying to do over the years, and the methodology that I use in this in my education, in my role as an educator, has helped me a great deal. So that's where we're at. That's my disclaimer. Okay, you ready? Ta-da! You have 5 questions. We're going to be spending time together, so I'm just assuming that there's stuff you want to know. This is like a credibility check. Who's this guy?
I think if you could take us through your journey in terms of how you got into experiential learning or whatever else we'll be covering here, trace your path towards the present program, I think that would give us a lot of clarity.
Okay, so can you sharpen that question? What exactly do you want to know?
Just trying to trace your journey. What got you into experiential learning? So
Okay.
what's the trigger?
Right.
And how do you feel after getting into it? How long you've been doing this? So forgive if any of my questions sound like layman questions, but a friend suggested, I like the concept. I joined in without any information of who you are, what you do, and all. So absolutely blank slate, and which is where I'm just trying to fill in a few areas.
Okay, so considering that one of our exercises later in the sessions is going to be, so how do we ask a question so we get what we want to get? And that context will be with our children, but also how do we ask each other, what exactly do you really want to know? But considering this is our first interaction, I'm just going to be a little kind, and I'm going to reframe what you said into what I've understood and tell me if I've got it right. Is you want to know what my experiential journey has been like. So in the field of experiential ed, would that be right? Okay.
Yeah,
So
I think that'd be right.
okay. So it's been a long one. I 12 years of a corporate job, selling stuff. So but started my career in the late 70s, mid 70s, and worked my way through selling all kinds of stuff for the Tata Group company, mostly in Bangalore. And then in the early 80s, there were computers being, computers were becoming a big thing. So I got into that and I sold computers. Then I taught people how to use computers. And these were the days of WordStar and Lotus 123. And I don't know if you even recall. I'm assuming none of you were born around that time. Okay, anyway, I'm just going to assume. And then
You are
retired.
not that ancient.
Sorry?
I don't think you're that ancient. No, I take you as a very
80s,
young
you
and
were born in
dynamic
the 80s?
person.
Early 80s?
I'm a 1979 born, yes.
Oh,
So-
you just made it. You just made it. Okay, cool. So gave up my corporate job because it wasn't going anywhere, and the kind of stuff I was getting to wasn't doing me much good. So I gave that up and I said, okay, so now what am I worth? And I think the point of that was I want to do stuff and money is not doing me any good. So I need to find a job. I need to find a place where I can do what I want to do and money is not the issue. So friends suggested marry a rich girl or find somebody to look after you. Well, I found somebody to look after me and I joined a campus. And that's when I got into education. So I was a classroom teacher. I was teaching biology and computer science. And my first experience of what new experiences do to people was I took a bunch of 11th graders to on a week-long trek into the Nepal Himalayas. And lots happened. And when they came back, everybody said, what did you do to them? I said, why, I just took them for a trek. They said, no, they just seem happier. They're smiling a lot more. They're friendlier. They've stopped using bad language. And I think that was the first thing that really happened. Then I moved from school to school, place to place, trying to figure out what this gap between what people wanted or the school was saying it wanted and what they were doing. Why is there such a big gap? And so that went on from 89 to about 96. That's what I was doing. Then in 96, I went to England and got trained in this field of outdoor education. Adventure was a huge part of what I was doing. Camping, outdoors, treks, climbs, rappelling. I'm sure many of you have been through stuff like that. And then it kind of branched into many different areas. And so adventure and education became appeared like two different platforms. But I think the magic was when I was able to help bring education into adventure and adventure into education. And that's when the fun really began. So somewhere along that way, I worked with an organization called Play for Peace, which was working with children that were growing up in communities that were in conflict. So I traveled the world training organizations to put Play for Peace into their process. Yeah, and then the corporate stuff jumped in, and I've been doing this for 30 odd years now. I hope that answers your question, Ashish.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Right. Anybody else with a question? You got 4 more. Chanchal, you are speaking, but I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Very faintly.
How's it now?
Perfect.
Yeah, so in continuation of what you just mentioned, I mean, when did you consciously realize that you're doing something different to what it is, usually done, that is making all the difference? So, say first time, like you said, you took them to Himalayas and whatever happened on its own. But what did you consciously, I mean, when did you realize that, what is different that is leading to the change?
Well, I got
And how
sacked.
did you, and the next question to this is, how did you pursue it further then, to improvise on that, okay, you realize that, okay, this is different, and then how do I improve it further?
All right. So, Chanchal, I've got a very small brain. So when you ask me 2 questions, I don't know which one to answer first. So help me with that one.
Okay, we'll go with the first one then. Like, when did you realize that, there is a difference in what you're doing and what is usually done?
When I got sacked for being too friendly with children. I was in a boys' school at that point in time, and there was a whole bunch of angry boys. And all I did was create a space for them to have a conversation. And something quite remarkable happened, and really quickly. So within a few months, I was setting up a learning resource at school. And so it was like 18,000 square feet. And it was a library, a reference center, video center, so on and so forth. So this was outside the academic field. And they kept coming in there just to have chats. And I said, wow, something strange is happening here. Why am to be honest, I had no idea what I was doing at that point in time. But I think what I discovered, and what I've discovered much later, was that at that point in time, all I really did was give them an ear. And they just wanted somebody to talk to. Actually, they wanted to talk to a lot of people, but they just wanted somebody who would listen. And I just sat there and listened. And it was amazing what happened. Does that answer your first question? And then I took it into my, and then because I was spending so much time doing this stuff with young people, that pretty much became the heart of what I started doing, which is listen to people. Does that answer your second question?
Yeah, so that is your realization. The second question is then how did you work on it further? I mean, how did you improve
Oh.
your skill to do
Good.
it even better? And first is the realization. Second is when you realize you want to do it better so that it helps the other person, right? Right.
Yeah.
That is the whole
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Whether it is
So-
healing or whether it is just coming out of whatever or sorting out their thoughts. I mean, I'm sure there is an objective behind it, right?
The answer to your question, is there an objective? No, I just wanted to have fun. And I found that my method of having fun works for other people. And if you're playing, if you're laughing, if you're moving, if you're working with your hands, you're engaging with other people your age, God, there couldn't be anything better than that, by and large. So I think what happened was I was doing this stuff for a while, and then I got a call saying, "We've heard about your work. Can you come and give us a workshop on outdoor education in India?" And I said, "What is outdoor education?" Because I had no idea what I was doing. I was a poor teacher, and when I say poor by choice, I was living out of a backpack and on a bike for many years of my life and traveling. And I said, I don't have money. So I worked out a deal, and this is pre-internet. So I worked out a deal with them, and I said, look, I'll find the money to come to the UK. You look after me for 6 months and educate me. Funny thing, they said, okay. And that's what happened. So I went to the UK, I got trained, my perspective, I realized it was a huge field. And that was it. I came back. The school became a very small place. And I started something of my own and did exactly what I wanted to. I've never looked back. So camping, activity, fun, laughter, outdoors has been a pretty big part of this whole process. But it can be, so what I learned over the years is that it doesn't have to be that. Who we are is going to affect what's going to happen. So you can be in the outdoors and continue to be a teacher telling everybody what to do. Or you can be in a hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, you lost me for a while there, right?
You lost
Okay.
Yeah.
Lost.
For 10 seconds. Yeah. Well, it sounds like my connection's a little. Okay. So that's where we're at. Next question.
Would like to know about your beliefs.
Whoa. Rohini, why do you ask me such hard questions?
So I just picked up something out of whatever is reflecting currently on the screen, because many things come to our mind, but then sometimes
Okay. Che, we should have used another slide. Okay, so I have a problem with belief. I think I don't know if I should even put it like this, but let's have some fun. I believe that beliefs are the most dangerous thing. And the reason is that beliefs keep us grounded, keep us stuck in a place, and change becomes hard. So I don't know if I have any beliefs anymore, but if you ask me today, what are the important things in my life, I might be able to articulate them. But I don't think I would call them my beliefs. Does that help?
Sort of.
Sort of. See, my job is to confuse the hell out of you guys. So unless you nail it down and say, give me one belief, then that'll be a different story. But you're not asking, so I'm not telling.
I guess it would change, as you said. I mean, sometimes we
Yeah.
know that it is keeping us stuck somewhere, so we might leave it or change it over the period of time.
Right. And I found that the more I do that, the less conflict I get into. Life is happier for everybody around. So what's the great value? And I mean, who told you? Yeah, unfortunately, there's constantly people telling us that you need to have your values and beliefs in place. And I'm saying, let's displace them. Because that's the only way forward. Any other questions? That's two more questions to go. Yes, Yashoda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, could you tell us a little bit about how your childhood and upbringing influenced your parenting style?
With joy. I left home when I was 6.5. I was sent to a boarding school. So I've never lived with my parents. Maybe for 3 years, somewhere in between. But here's the thing. I think two very critical pieces have affected my childhood and my approach. One is I've never been punished. And second, I've never been humiliated either by my teachers or I've been bullied a bit. Yeah, I mean, that's part of growing up. But I've never been punished. I've never been humiliated. And nobody ever asked me to compete with anybody else. So competition was not part of my growing up at all. What it essentially means is that nobody ever told me I was less or more than anybody else. And I think these, what I've just said are three really critical pieces in the growing up process, because when you bring competition into in comparison into our language, we are creating, we're saying something is okay and something is not. And the truth is that most of us are not okay, because there can be only one first. Does that help?
Hi, Chetan, can I ask you a question? I would like to know what was that one thing that touched you at a subconscious level? And as people, I would not call again educationists, how do we kind of reach out at a subconscious level when we're dealing with young ones?
This is to Che or me?
Pardon? This
Did
is
you-
for you.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
Vishwas, sorry.
Right, no problem. At a subconscious level, okay. If it's subconscious, do we know it's happening? Is my question okay? You're saying at the subconscious level. I don't know if I understand what you mean by subconscious.
Well, I would like to put it across in a different way. When you're talking about peace, when you're talking about happiness, you know, it should not be on a superficial level. It has to be much more deeper. So that when you put it deeper, it has to be at a subconscious level. So
Yes.
how did you instill it, or how do you bring about that change? Because whatever is going to be superficial will not last long. You know, it has to be much more deep rooted.
Agreed.
And even today, when we see with children all around, with forget about children, we see with adults, you feel that that peace is not there. No wonder people react differently to different situations, which can also be dealt quite amicably. So, how to
Yeah, I
instill
know.
that one thing?
Don't waste your time. Don't try and instill it in anybody else. Rule number one. Okay. Be it. So what it essentially means is that we've got to be that peace.
Yeah, but we cannot have so many Buddhas around, isn't it? It's easier said than done, but there are times as a mother, even I would say as a woman, when you
Question.
have conceived, how do we go forward?
Say that again, please. I think I missed something.
Hi. What I said was, even when young girls are on the family way, you know, it's a very simple thing. The more peaceful, the more happy they are. That whole process goes down to the fetus. So there has to be something which you have to adapt. You need to be peaceful within yourself to have a peaceful surrounding around you. But there are times when you have to ensure that you can help the others also. So my question is, how do we help others? We are not Buddhas, right? Where people can kind of copy us or imitate us. But still, at the same time, as teachers dealing with the young children, a child who's unsettled has some kind of anxiety. How do we kind of help that particular child to be at peace?
That anxiety is coming from somewhere in that child. And it's coming from the surroundings that the child is growing up in. I think first is to remember that. And how do you know that the anxiety is not coming from you?
It can be. I mean, I would not say
Right.
it's not coming from the environment that we are creating for the child.
Right. So I think somewhere along my journey, since this is a question to me about me, I'm assuming, because the rest of it we're going to be dealing with anyway. I think for me, I realized that the mood I was in had an amazing effect on what was happening around me. When I was calm, things were calmer. When I was angry, oh my God, that got transferred really fast.
I think we've lost you again.
And yes, yeah. Okay, I'm going to try and switch this because I think I have a.
Yeah, in between we are losing you intermittently.
I'm going to try and change my. See if I can. Yeah, there's a problem with my.
Sure, thank you.
Give me a sec, yeah. Che, can you hear me? Che, I'm just going to log in and out again. Give me a second. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I apologize for this. So Che, you're going to have to probably play the
Sure.
Prezi, so just get ready with that. So can you remind me of the question again? My brain went somewhere else in between.
Yes, sure. My question was, how do we when we talk about peace, we talk about happiness, how do we ensure that this is just not superficial, but it goes down right up to the subconscious level?
Can I give you a short answer for that?
Sure, most welcome.
We will be exploring some of this stuff, but I think my short answer is be it. You want peace, you want happiness, you want joy, you want calm, you want conversation, you want dialogue, be it. Does that?
Yeah, thank you. Got the answer.
Okay.
No, sorry. I no, last word I missed. You said, what did you say?
I said be it.
Okay, got
we
it.
cannot expect, and this is true not just in our families, but even in our corporate worlds. We try to change something outside us, and that's the effort that everybody seems to be putting into, putting a lot of effort into, and I don't think it's possible. But if you are something, which means that we have to work on ourselves first. And if we can do that, I think that'll be a lot more effective. So, which is why my disclaimer that my job here is not to really tell you anything. This is not about parenting. This is about can we pay a little more attention to ourselves? And I think that for me, that's the question. And that's what these 4 sessions are about. Yeah, okay, we've got only one more question if you want to ask it, otherwise we can continue. Anybody has a question?
Can I ask the question if?
Yes, last one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If I ask you about your memories, right? Because there are good and bad memories, bitter and sweet memories. So can you just talk about some bitter memory, which was a turning point? Because it's not important that when you have a bitter experience, you turn out, many times you turn out much more better. So can you just kind of share some experience wherein something which was really not in your favor or something that you did not like happened, but that was a turning point of view for you, wherein you learned something and you turn out to be a better person?
See, you put already so much into it. If you just told me to share a memory.
This is the teacher's way of asking questions.
I know, and I'm saying, can we change that?
Okay, sure. You're most welcome to change the question.
No, I'm saying, can we change the way we ask these questions? Because at the heart of what we're trying to do is really this. Now, if you, for example, reframe that question without.
I will do it. Yeah, I will do it. Any bitter memory you have which transformed you into a better person?
See, that's the problem with the last part of it. We've got this idea that bitter experiences transform us into better people. I don't think that's true. If you ask me for a bitter experience, I can share that with you. But did it, it's like saying, कोई बात नहीं, आज सब शायद बुरा लग रहा है, लेकिन एक दिन आप कहोगे कि हाँ, अगर वो नहीं हुआ होता तो मैं जहाँ हूँ वहाँ नहीं आता. You know what I'm saying?
नहीं, but I'm sorry, मैं इस चीज को ऐसे बोलती, जो होता है always happens because of the Almighty. And always say, whenever anything like this happens, tera bana meetha lage, whatever God has built for you, He knows what is best for you. So I touch wood, don't keep anything bitter in me.
Then you solved the problem. So why is this important now?
Because definitely I would like to hear it from you, because if you ask me, I have one question which I thought I'll refrain from asking. You talked about your childhood, you talked about no punishment, you talk about no competition, but there is this one very important thing that I personally feel I would say childhood, adulthood, old age, everything should have is LOVE, love. Can you just share that with us?
I think
Sorry, I hope I'm not asking too many questions.
no. You see, if I say it, okay, here. I'm going to give you the short end of it. Very quickly, I learned learned to love myself beyond anything else.
Thank you for answering.
So Vishwas, before you go further, sorry, I'm holding you. So when you started your first workshop, especially outside, and those kids you took to Himalayas, and that has changed not only those children but also you immensely. So what was one thing which you find which brings yourself closer to that? Himalayas is very vast, and then you have gone on an outdoor trip. So what is one thing which makes you connect as well as those children connect to the Himalayas? And I'm talking uh, not the human urban center in Himalayas. Okay, I mean I'm assuming that you went to a little more unexplored places or where little human touch is less. I think we either lost Vishwas or Che. He is on mute. Okay, yeah.
Can you? Okay.
Hey,
So,
even you are on mute and speaking.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So my intellectual brain is going to respond to that because trying to describe the feeling in the Himalayas is a waste of time. I think it was the non-judgmental nature of the response you got from the experience. So if you were able to carry your bag, your backpack, and travel a certain distance, it was you who did it. Nobody came and told you, you should have been somewhere else. You should be better than, you're not good enough. All the stories that we receive from a human world. The Himalayas or mountains don't tell you anything. And it's that whole non-judgmental nature of that response that you get. And you're the only one who knows what's going on. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, partially.
Partially. Yeah, okay. It's never going to be complete. So as we go along and we find more questions to ask,
That's fine.
Okay.
Because I myself go to Himalayas quite a time, and
right.
I'm just trying to understand what is one thing which help you connect with the mountain, because they have their own. They have their own language. It's just that we need to understand.
Absence of judgment. That's how I would describe it. And here's the thing: it isn't just the Himalayas. Any experience that we go through is pretty much the experience. It's only people giving us feedback and judging us. The experience itself is completely non-judgmental. And that's why this field is so powerful, that you take people through a simple activity and their heads are exploding with ideas because they say, my God, one simple thing like this, and it's kind of opened doors for me. Well, I didn't do it. I just did the activity. You're the one who got whatever from it. It was that non-judgmental nature of the experience. Okay. Let's move on to some Gyan piece now. So each session will have some Gyan piece, and it'll have the early piece of each session will be a conversation about homework that you're supposed to do with the people around you. Just know that. Okay, great. So in some ways, you're sitting in that classroom, yeah? And what's going on with you right now? Right now. What are you thinking? How are you feeling? Find words to describe.
we are anxious. I mean,
We-
what is going to be there?
We or me, Rohini?
Yeah, myself.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
saying.
here's something that I'd like you to think about. How we use we instead of me and I. This is your truth. Tell it to me. Use the word I, because I don't know if everybody will agree here. So no need to hide behind the we. Just say this is where I am. So Rohini, what I'm hearing you say is you're anxious
Yes.
about where it's going. Did I hear that?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Nostalgic.
Nostalgic. Okay.
Homework is what is going on.
Is that the anxiety?
No, no, not anxiety, but yeah, homework. Let's see what it is.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Okay.
When I look at it, I like the way the blackboard is placed. It's placed not in front, at the back. So for me, it arouses a lot of curiosity. I can see the big open windows, and if I were to enter this class, I know where I would be sitting. I would be sitting next to the open big windows. I would definitely like to get the outside in my classroom.
Right.
And I
Got it.
wonder why the board is there.
Yeah, you wonder what's on this side, right?
Yeah. No,
Okay,
and
cool.
there's a blackboard right at the back, you know. Generally,
Oh,
in a very
okay.
regular class, it is right in front. So there has to be specific reason why it's there.
We're going to bring that alive very soon.
Right. Thanks.
So I
Any
feel
other-
that, I feel that I should not miss out this time what I have missed out long back. So definitely nostalgic is one, but more conscious effort to grab that learning which probably has been missed in the last first part of the life.
Got it. Okay. So I'm just going to describe to you what's on that blackboard. Che? Right. So that's your brain talking to you. Right. And that brain has the ability to judge very quickly. And there's nothing wrong with judging. Judgment is necessary because it's a survival strategy. Unfortunately, we seem to make every situation a survival strategy. But I'm going to try and separate two kinds of behaviors or approaches at this point in time. Okay, so think of a line. Wait. What does the line do?
Separate something.
Yeah, and separates what?
Space.
Okay.
The known and the unknown.
Known and the unknown. So you could, one side is unknown, the other side is known. What else could it separate?
It could be light and dark.
Light and dark.
Good or bad?
Good and bad. Right and wrong. Focus.
Attention.
And what's on the other side?
No, not looking at the sides, but I mean, from the space of confusion to something pointing, which the line represents.
You mean blank? So open space, and then you put a line, and then you bring focus.
And then correct, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, Che. Right. So we're just going to call these two spaces below the line and above the line. Simple enough. Now, below the line is closed, defensive, committed to being right. This is just a way of looking at things, okay? And above the line is, go on, open, curious, and committed to learning. Now, a lot of our lives are very often our first response is, because it's survival, we tend to take below the line approaches to a lot of things. And I think the whole point as we go through this experience of 4 sessions is to see if we can climb that ladder and come above the line. Because it's immensely possible that the point that Rohini brought up then about belief, that belief holds us back. And I'm not saying it doesn't support, and there are certainly situations where it does, but it's how we choose to look at belief. And when we hold on to things, then we take on attitudes, we take on opinions, we hold on to our thinking, and it really doesn't help above the line approaches to things. It's hard to be committed to being right and also be committed to learning at the same time. Because the moment you're right, it means that you've already decided about what needs to be done. But then if you've decided what needs to be done or said, then why, then where's there space for that learning? So in the context of what we're going through, Che, and just remember that these two are only positions that we are trying to describe. Neither is good or bad, right or wrong. But you will find yourselves very often as we go through this conversation, sometimes below the line and sometimes above the line. And I think the whole point here is how is there some way that we can move above the line, because that's where growth, opportunity, and all that stuff is. So there's be times when you might say, Che, I already know this. Yeah, it's quite possible. I don't know, this is not rocket science, but we're saying it in different ways. And it's possible that I already know this, and that I already know this can often prevent us from being able to listen. And at that point in time, you've got to decide. And one way of going above the line is to stay in a creative space and say, okay, so, okay, let's just say I know this. What else can I learn? Is this making sense? Okay, so that's one thing that might happen as we go through this conversation. Next. You might say this is not going to work for me. Yeah, your suggestions sound great and perfect and so on and so forth, but you know, it's not going to work for me. Now, my job is not to offer you solutions. My job is to is to see if we can open our minds a little to possibility. Yeah. So if you find yourself saying this won't work for me, you're going to have to climb that ladder and ask the question, how can I make this work for me? Because in that space is possibility, creativity. Che, let me try. Should I try sharing? You with me? Okay, because I'm going to be running through this. We're looking at, yeah, how can I make this work for me? And these new connections, innovations are all part of that piece. Next. It's immensely possible you'll ask, and I wonder how many, raise your hand if you wanted to ask a question but felt this. Right. Okay, so here's my answer. There is no such thing. So whenever you have a question in your head, feel free to ask. Okay, and I'm guessing there are times when I will be running with what I have and want to share with you, and you might say, okay, I'm going to hold back. It's a stupid question, and if you feel that way, then just put it in the chat, because I'm not looking at it, but Che is going to look at it, and he's going to say, okay, there's some questions. Stop, and I'll stop. Not a problem. Just remember, this is not about me trying to deliver a whole bunch of content to you. It's about you wanting to be part of this whole process. So please allow your energy to drive this, not mine. Yeah, okay. So just to remember that there is above the line and below the line. Now here's, we're going to send you a URL in the chat. And click on it. And the question we're asking is, what do you remember telling your children on a daily basis? Just put that, just write that down there, just type it in. whatever it is you tell your children every day or every other day.
So I've put the link in the chat. If you just click on it, it'll take you to a thing called Mentimeter, and you can put in your answers in there. So then we'll all be able to see it together. What are some other things you tell them? Check and pick up the presentation after this. Just remember, be as honest as you can. Vishwas, there are some messages in the chat as well. Huh? Some people have put it in the chat.
Oh, okay. Okay. Right. I think we've got a lot to go on. Just take a minute and go through the stuff that has emerged. So I'm going to change the question a bit. This is what you tell them. Is there anything you ask them? So that's another question. Why do you ask or tell them anything?
So should we put this also in Mentimeter or?
No, now it's a conversation. Now it's a conversation. Yeah.
Just to check in.
Just to check in. What else?
To teach
To teach. What do you want to teach them?
what we are trying to tell, like what I'm trying to tell. Whatever it is that I'm trying to say, I maybe make that as a habit. Or
Give me an
make that-
example of something. Yeah, okay. Give me an example that you tell your children to make
So,
a habit. And
yeah.
it's good for you.
It's okay. What is good for me? or for
No,
them?
for them, right? Because you're telling them to keep doing it, right?
Yeah. And I'm thinking it'll be good for them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So one of the things that I say to my elder one is he's an adolescent. So I tell him, you wake up, shake up, and show up.
Great. How about fold your clothes?
Yeah. So that becomes part of it, like making your bed.
And then it adds up, right?
Yeah, it adds up.
Make your bed, fold your clothes, put them in the cupboard. Why are you wearing dirty clothes? Change your socks. Oh man, our life is so full of telling, no? Okay, let's just take it to a different place for now. We tell them a lot of things and we ask them a lot of things. Ever considered what your reason is?
Yeah, I mean, my experience is, I mean, from self experience, life's kind of full of contrast. So it's just being comfortable in the contrast is what would like to take, or just let our children experience it. They are also comfortable with the contrast.
Okay. Why are
Hello.
we? Yes, go ahead, Manju.
Well, I only tell my daughter one thing, to live in gratitude, because what I've understood after living in this, right, is that you are always in a happy state of mind, and you do not desire what others have. I mean, it's just that you should be happy with what you have. You are contented, and contentment, according to me, leads to internal happiness. So this is one thing definitely I have tried to imbibe in my daughter, even as when she was a kid. So,
And that's a good thing, right?
yeah, that's all that I say. I mean, I don't tell her, because again, I say I don't tell her to do anything like folding clothes or anything, because I personally feel that if as a mother I'm doing it and I have given her a very clean environment, she would eventually learn to keep her own environment clean.
And that's the hope we have.
I try doing it, and I think to a large extent I have managed.
Please,
Furthermore, I do
understand that.
not. Yeah.
That when I ask questions, or when if I'm restating it wrongly, then let me know. But if I'm asking you questions, I'm just seeking clarification. I'm not trying to take this conversation to "I told you so" or anywhere.
Yeah.
But so whether it's gratitude, or it's clothes, or it's food, or nourishment,
No, I got it.
love.
Yeah.
So I'm saying there's a whole bunch of things we do ask, and a whole bunch of things we do tell. So in the story you mentioned, you talked about gratitude.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, I wonder if we know why we ask or tell.
Vishwas, I have a question here. So with what's on the screen is what's your purpose in having the conversation?
Yeah.
So one thing that strikes me is when you tell something, you're not really having a conversation there. That's just a one-way thing.
Correct.
Oh, but it becomes one, doesn't it?
That's my understanding. I think the lady who spoke, I think the gist of the telling, it's responding than telling, basically, to any questions, right?
Great. So I wonder if we. So I'm going to challenge that again. I wonder if we know why we're doing it. We're telling with a purpose, with a reason.
My understanding, Vishwas, is there is a innate thirst in everybody, I think, to know, and which is why we ask questions. And an open question is something that it becomes a duty for us to respond to the best of our knowledge. Maybe right, maybe wrong. It's all situational.
And what happens when we tell? Do we know why?
It's a means of connection, right? To respond, to answer, to be present.
Are there other means of having a connection rather than telling?
Yes, I think at all the levels, right?
Okay, great.
Doing something together.
Here's something I want to throw at you as possibilities, and we can add to this. And I think very often
I think Vishwas, my personal experience is, as good as it may sound, that exploration is supposedly the right answer. But I think the truth of the things is we actually go into each of these modes at different points in time, based upon different needs, based
Right.
upon different situations. It's hard to actually categorize which one should be our focus. I don't think there is anything around focus. It's again dependent upon the situation. Sometimes an interrogation is required when you clearly see some alarm. Clarification is normally you want to leave the other person clear
Sure, but
and yourself clear as well.
I'm not suggesting any right answer here. All I'm saying is that when we have these conversations, I'm calling them conversations, even when we are asking a question, there's a purpose. And do I know what that purpose is? Because so often a parent reaches out to a child with, wanting to find out, really wanting to find out. But it sounds like an interrogative question.
Yeah, my view, Vishwas, is there is one element missing, which is where I normally come from, which is to connect, right? Uh, Information is not something that I'm really looking for. It's just a means, basically, to establish that connection.
Sure. But is it possible that the questions we ask create a kind of a situation that we may not necessarily desire? So I'll give you an example. The word why is used so often, and we think of it as, who, what, when, where, why, how, all that stuff. And the why, very often when we frame a question with a why, is often coming from here. That's what it sounds like. Why did you do it? And it could be said in the most gentle way, but it has a way of being interrogative, for example. And I think, therefore, this question I'm putting forth is, do I know what frame of mind I'm in when I'm asking a question or wanting to have a conversation? Because that frame is going to guide the language I use. And if I can learn better ways of asking questions, I might better manage the difference between these. Instead of sounding like a parent, I might be able to sound like a friend. I might be able to sound like, just a curious person wanting to know, not wanting to pass any judgment about it. So I think I'm just raising this as a possibility that when next time there's something that happens and I want to ask a question of my child, what's my purpose? Because hidden in the question could be any one of these. It's just a thought I'm throwing at you. Okay? Great. Just a quick exercise. I'm going to give you 10 lakh rupees. Here are the conditions. How will you spend it? Quick. Don't spend too much time thinking, judging it. Just tell me, what would you buy? Where would you spend it? Quick. Really? Maybe I should
Holiday.
say, I'm going to say 1 crore. Maybe you're all way beyond the 10 lakh number, man. So that 10 lakh is 10 रुपया यार कहाँ खर्चा करें मेरे dreams तो करोड़ वाले हैं. Okay, holiday. Where are you going?
Maldives.
Okay. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Do you see the kind of place you're going to be at?
Yes.
Do you see the sea?
Yes.
You're beginning to see it, right? Great. Wonderful.
Yeah, you're taking me there.
You're right. Okay. Stay there for a second. Anybody else?
Yeah, I will join a course to learn something new.
Okay. And what do you want to get from it? Give me an
it's
example
not
of a
always.
course.
So let me tell you, it's not
Give me an
always.
example.
So it is not
You've got
always.
only, no, Rajiv, you got like 15 seconds to tell me a course. And I'm not saying you have to do it. All I'm saying is, can you see it?
So sorry, can you say the last sentence?
Like Ashish was able to see Maldives, if you wanted to do a course, do you have a course that you would spend this money on, and which one is it?
Oh yes.
Great. Keep that picture in your head. So you got a name for it, right? The course that you want to do.
Yeah.
Great. Hold on to that. Anybody else?
I'm going to buy a new furniture. I'm going to buy new furniture.
New furniture. Okay. What's it made of?
Wood.
Okay. What color is it?
It'll be subtle colors with light grayish fabric on it and colorful cushions.
There
and
you go. So
lovely
you've got a
curtains.
picture, right?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, and there you go. You added curtains as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. So this is what the mind does. Okay. Just going to take you for a walk through it. Now, our senses, okay, are like a camera. We sense and we create a picture. That was just a quick example of it. When we look at our children, also, we have our sensory cameras alive, and we've got this picture. So if I ask you the question, you see, think of your children 10 years from now, what do you see? Quick. Just throw some words at me that drop into your head. What do you
Happy.
see? Happy.
Happily married with children.
Wow. Okay. You already see them, don't you?
10 years older.
A great lawyer.
A great lawyer. Right. Now, this is your sensory camera. Now, here's the thing about the sensory camera. These pictures we take through our eyes, ears, nose, touch, taste, and movement. Okay. Now, by and large, these pictures that we take fall into three categories: people, things, and ideas. Okay. You'd be happy if that picture came alive, wouldn't you? So I'm just going to throw some text at you. Please do read it. It's not much. And if you have something to add or comment on or ask a question, feel free. Okay. Now, these pictures that we take of things becomes what we call our quality world. Now, a damn good lawyer, an example. Okay. Lawyering is part of my quality world, and being good in that is part of my quality world. And now that becomes part of it. If I want a good holiday, a quality holiday, it's Maldives. If I said I'm giving you 10 crore rupees, you might take it somewhere else. You might say the moon or wherever, I don't know. But then it begins to expand. And that's how our quality world is becoming, bigger and bigger. And we keep adding to it. So there's a sensory camera, and it's creating a quality world. Something has quality, and there are some things that may not have quality. So it's possible the Maldives idea came from a possible holiday in Goa or somewhere there on the beach. And you said, wow, it'd be great to be living in a cottage where there's water under you and you can, just step out and watch sharks and fish and coral and jump in whenever you want with your private swimming pool. Just an idea. It came from somewhere. And that satisfies us. And that's what defines what we want. On a rare occasion, there might be somebody else in the room who says, hey, you know what, even I was thinking of Maldives. But if you had a conversation about what you are saying and what the other person is saying, I'm guessing they're very different. So this quality world that we create is unique to each one of us. Now, the reason I'm talking to you about this is that we have, as parents, we have a quality world. And the context, if it was children, certain things are quality and certain things are not quality. Our children also have a quality world. And the biggest struggles in life are matching these quality worlds. So me saying it's important for you to wear clean clothes, and my son saying, hey, this is clean, but in my quality world, it's not. It's important for you to look presentable when you go out into the world. And he's saying, hey, this is presentable. And I'm saying it's not. At least iron your clothes when you go out. I mean, just giving you examples. Yeah? So I have a unique definition of my quality world, and my child also has that. And here's the thing, they're never hazy or general. कि अच्छे कपड़े पहन के जाओ, नहीं, अच्छे has definition. I already have a definition of what अच्छे कपड़े is. You should not wear bright colors, wear only stripes, wear only whites, wear only pastels, wear only light. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things.
So what you're actually saying, research, is all achhe is very personal and subjective. There is no absolute acha, right?
Right.
And that holds for perhaps the beliefs as well, right?
Almost everything.
Almost everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I will often use this as an example that, there's a part of the world that believes that killing is bad. And there's a whole bunch of people being killed out there. I mean, what's the story here? What happened to killing is bad? So there's nothing universal good or universally right or wrong. And it's unique to each one of us.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, once we build these pictures in our heads, for example, there's somebody I met, I said, yeah, tere ambitions kya hai? Kya hai? Khwahishein kya hai? Mujhe badi gaadi leni hai. Do you all understand Hindi? Anybody who does not understand? Because sometimes I'll slip into this. Some things are better said in
which is great, sir. Which is great.
Colloquial, right? Okay. यार मुझे बड़ी गाड़ी लेनी है. ठीक है. कितनी बड़ी चाहिए देखो? So he said, Harrier. Acha, okay. So do you see it? Yes. When are you going to have it? He said, I have no idea. I said, great. And then 3 months later, he says, मैंने गाड़ी खरीद ली. I said, hey, hold on. You told me it's going to take you a year to buy that car because your income and so on, the financial story you were managing was not going to allow you to buy that car. What happened? He said, I decided to buy it. I said, acha. And so you know what's going to happen now, right? He said, I know I'm going to have to work really hard. And everything that he even said about, it's going to be painful, it's going to be this, all that stuff is turning out to be true. At some point in time, I asked him, I said, what happens if you sell this car? Oh man, I tell you, he really fought the idea. He said, there's no chance. And his whole, and any idea that we create in our heads as being whatever, that quality world, it's really hard to take out because we've invested so much energy into it. We invest a lot of energy into creating what we call a quality world. Sometimes we don't even know why we have it. Why should anybody wear ironed shirts? Anybody got an answer to that? I tell you, there's always somebody out there who says, there's a fabric called linen, and it's not supposed to be ironed. You're supposed to wash it and wear it. Now, taking that idea out of the head is so hard. Okay? So I'm guessing you recognize this stuff you had to let go, how painful it was. If I ask you what's in your quality world,
I think in order for people to share freely, it is or do anything basically, right? With the spirit of reaching somewhere or with the goal of reaching somewhere. What I feel is most important is actually they have a common ground to start from and then start exploring, leading to a common. The paths may be different, but so long as we are clear that we are all coming from the same place and going to the same place, it may.
I don't know. I mean, that sounds like that
Very
sounds
philosophical.
No, I was going to say it sounds okay when we are, let's say, we are trying to come to an agreement of some sort, right?
Yeah.
But take the simple notion of a family going out to dinner and arriving at that menu. And then suddenly, let's say we're a vegetarian Jain family, and my son says, you know what, I'd like to try chicken today.
I'll just ask a question that, look, just be conscious of who are eating elsewhere. Can you manage your likes and dislikes at the moment? If they can't, then just do basically what you like.
That's one. And I'm saying, Prashant, just think about how quickly the answer came, right?
Yeah.
And is there another way? And what's happening in that moment when my son says, I want to eat non-veg? What's it doing to my entire belief system, my quality world? And at that moment, the thing that occurs to me is, this kid is 17, 18, 19, whatever. Just imagine this, right? And he knows how he's been brought up. And what courage did it take for him to be able to say that on that day, that evening for dinner? And almost, when we talk about our quality worlds, this is so true that even in corporate meetings, that decisions apparently are made even before the meeting happens. Because every member in the team has already decided what's going to happen. And the reason meetings turn out to be the way they do is because of this reason, that we are afraid of sharing what our idea is. Because I don't want to be angry, I don't want to be hurt. Because somebody's going to shoot my idea down.
Vishwas, interestingly, I have a friend, he's they're parent family and he wants to be veg. And his parents are like, we're going to disown you if you become veg.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look at where it goes, right? And Bollywood is, of course, full of it. I mean, we know that. So here's the thing. This Chetan's case, family is threatening him, we're going to disown you. Okay, it might be a joke, but we're going to disown you if you turn vegetarian. And that'll work for a while. So when we tell our children to do something and try to get them to do it, our truth is that we often encounter resistance. And when we encounter resistance, conflict emerges and invariably causes me as a parent so much anguish and pain
Correct.
and
Correct.
anger and frustration. And there's so much of that. And I think the question we're trying to figure out is there another way of looking at things? Because just be aware of one thing, that kid's come with his own genes. We don't know what they are. Those genes are playing out in the environment that they're in, and we're trying to change it. That attitude, that approach, the way of thinking, how they feel, God, so much of it is already in place. And the only question for us as parents is, shall I nurture the plant, or shall I try and make the apple into a pear? Just as we've got our own quality world, they also have their own quality world, and nobody, they're not going to allow anybody to take it away from them. So this kid who tells his mother, hey, why don't you have a Mercedes Benz? He loves cars, right? Tells his mother, why don't you have a Mercedes Benz? Why are you driving around in a Maruti? And that was the beginning of a very interesting conversation. And then after 15 minutes of it, the kid says, okay, at least a Mini Cooper. And this whole, the pain of having for that kid to move from a Mercedes Benz to a Mini Cooper with many other models in between must have been so hard. And the pain of the mother saying, hey, Maruti Suzuki is great, you know, why do we need a Mini Cooper? And that whole idea of change. So we hold on to our ideas pretty strongly. We want our children to do certain things, and I wonder if there is a way around it. So any picture of ownership that we have, I own my child, I own their behavior, I own their attitude, I own their marks, I own their performance, I own their behavior. Yeah, take it all. Any ownership picture is a relationship disaster in the making. I just want to leave you with this thought for a second.
Yes, sir. Would you, Vishwas, could you maybe share a little more of your insight on this one? That any ownership picture is a relationship disaster in making. We would like to understand like both sides of it and
Sure.
the environment side of things as well.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want my son to become a lawyer. I attach myself to the idea. I begin to own it, and I begin to groom my child on the basis of that. And this could be any idea, right? It could not necessarily a lawyer. It could be a great sportsman, play for India, you know, all that stuff. And once I begin to own it, anything less brings this.
Vishwas, even things that we consider so nice, no, I want my child to be kind. I want him to be a good person.
Yeah.
Those are also things we are attached to, right?
Yeah. And I find my child screaming and shouting and beating up another kid. I say, God, where did that come from? Now, as long as I hold on to the idea and the ownership of the idea of wanting my child to be kind and sensitive and helpful, anything that happens to the contrary is going to affect my relationship with my child. Prashant, does that help?
Yes, I can see that. I can see that.
Okay.
Any wants in themselves brings an attribute to being ours.
Right. And the moment I get to this place I find it really hard to think of my child as my child. I begin to, what the term used is objectify them. So my child becomes a thing that is supposed to become my dreams and become my ownership picture. Lots of pain in this. I think parenting the pain in parenting comes from this. I just wanted to build it up to this point. Okay.
Vishwas,
Yeah.
I just want like I just want to put that in a sentence. You're saying that when you said about objectifying, so you're
Mhm.
saying that as a parent, when I try to have this quality picture of my child, for example, let's say is a good sports person or a good behavior, I am making the child the object or the quality picture the object. Like when you said objectifying, what is it that unknowingly I'm objectifying?
Okay. You're making chai. What do you need?
Water, tea leaves, sugar,
And what do you do with that?
boil them,
In what?
a vessel.
Ah, you see that vessel?
Okay.
Can you boil the chai and the milk without the vessel?
No.
The vessel is my child and my,
Okay.
you got it?
But I want you to say it, please, even though I've got
Okay.
it in a way.
The,
But I
the
want to hear
vessel,
it from you.
the vessel is my child.
Mm.
And my quality world, I'm putting in there and I'm saying, okay, now become one. Hold that quality world that I hold so dearly and I'm so attached to. And let's boil it together. But I'm not the one facing the heat. The heat to me comes later. That child is facing the heat. And whether that's what we want.
So putting things into the vessel like your beliefs, my beliefs.
He
or
becomes an
my...
object of my dreams,
Okay. Hmm.
of my aspirations, of my quality world.
Thank you.
Okay.
Vishwas, my son, he's 4.5 years old. So he gets very easily influenced with the kids he's playing with. So sometimes when he comes home, he surprises us with things which usually doesn't happen in families. And then I feel that it is time that we tell him that this is right and this is not right and this is wrong and this is how it should be. So are you saying that this is not the right approach, or how? I mean, I really don't get it.
You said so much in what you said. My child is easily influenced.
Yeah, I mean, because when he's with friends, I don't know, they say something and he picks it up so fast, and I've been trying to teach him so many things, but he never picks that up.
So if he's picking it up from friends, what could you do? Become a friend?
Yeah, which I am definitely trying to do. But
that's right.
somehow
But wait. Those friends at that point in time are not judging him.
yeah. I never considered that. Yeah.
Right? And they don't know, they're not doing it with the intention of him picking it up. They're just doing what they do. So it's your son's quality that is allowing him to pick up things. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful quality.
Okay.
But
I think yeah. I think I'm getting what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to bring you closer to that. Any idea? So we're going to introduce a concept which is going to be the heart of. So here's the premise. How you see the world, so how we see the world has the ability to affect what happens between people. how you see your world has the ability to affect your relationship with your child. That's the translation. So Anushri, your world, as you see it, as you want it to be, is affecting that relationship between you and your son. Yes? Okay. Quickly, what do you see and how would you react if that was you and your son or your child? Quick, quick, quick.
If I see my son like this, I say, okay, so you actually let yourself go and you had a lot of fun because
I see my
I'm
son like
also-
this every day, so I don't think I'm going to be very surprised.
So are you okay with that mud going all over the house?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm just used to it now.
Oh, you're a pretty
Not all over the
emancipated
house
mother.
for sure.
Not all over the house, but yeah, I think it goes straight to the bathroom, so I think I'm fine.
Wait. Slow it down. He decides, hey, you know what? I love the color of my clothes now. I'd like to paint my sofa with this, with what's on my clothes. I'd like to go and eat a banana right now. Okay. So something happened in that moment. Such silence can only mean that some idea of your perfect world got destroyed. And here's what I think the problem is. This, yeah, great. Okay, my kid, my son's had fun. He's got mud. He's probably had a lot of fun. But hey, the fun stops on that mat. It's no fun having all that mud on my sofa, especially that light gray sofa, right? Okay, so now the moment that kid walks in, I'm happy for him having had a good time. But probably things are going to change from this moment on. And it's measured against a perfect idea or an idea of perfection. So sitting on the sofa would be a wrong thing to do. Feeding him.
Hi, sorry, can I interrupt for a moment?
Yeah. Yeah, please.
Yeah, if at all there's a situation like this, I mean, as a parent, when you come home from work, you definitely wipe your, footwear. That's generally what I do. I wipe my footwear on the mat, and then I enter and straight away go to the washroom. So children at home have also, in a way, not that we kind of ensured that, they just followed. So don't you feel that what your actions would indirectly train the child?
Sure. But about some things, possibly, my question is, would you walk into the home like this?
You do it many times. I love getting wet when we have the first monsoon.
Right.
I play
And
bad
you do
ball.
certain things, right? You go to the
Yeah.
washroom, you
Yeah.
change, you come out dry.
But I mean, what I personally feel as a parent, your child just imbibes what you do, and it's pretty natural, And when it comes to when I'm talking about furniture, sofa, or anything, I personally, I mean, the entire family is very careful. In the sense, I would not say use the word careful, but we do not mess ourselves. We have certain organization skills which we follow. It's just a trend at home. Nobody's enforced it, but it just seeps into the family. Doesn't that help?
I'm sure, I hope you're a happy family.
We are. We are very good. We are. In fact,
it all works.
yeah,
It
we
all
are a
works
happy
well
family.
until-
There's no ifs and buts in the house, There's total freedom, but somehow it's just in the family. It's just very natural. Nobody says anything to anybody, and again, there's no right and wrong in the house,
Great. Then as long as it's going well, I hope things go well for you.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But yes,
Now,
I would
we're
say,
not
I
all
would
of
like
us
to
are
say
that
one
lucky.
thing. One little thing that I would say, I have pets at home. And just because we would not do certain things, So our pets are also trained like that, you know. When I see people's pets on the beds and things like that, it's just that my pets don't do it, and I never had a trainer. It was just we are careful, and so they are, because when they also walk in, I check their paws, just because they should not have any kind of insects out there. So it's, I would say it's pretty natural, and it's right if children get play in the mud, because that's equally important. But you just need to clean yourself. And if I were a mother out here, I would definitely keep a bar of soap
Oops,
so that the child
oops,
should also.
oops. You just, why would you keep a bar of soap?
Yeah, it's fun washing the clothes also, isn't it?
For you?
The child definitely enjoys. Yeah, they like doing it.
Okay, then give it to them.
Yeah, they love doing
Okay,
it.
what I'm hearing is you don't have a problem at all.
I would not. In fact, I have got
So
grandchildren.
can I assume that
Honestly,
you have no idea that you have no rights and wrongs in your home?
in fact, I love children doing messy play, because it's equally important to give them that kind of freedom.
Okay.
Messy play is also a way of expression, you know.
Are there things that it's okay to be messy with and not be messy with?
I think it's equally okay, you know, when you have, I have done it as a kid, you know. I would like to be in the slash,
Then
obviously.
stay happy, Manjit. Here's my
Yeah,
point.
thanks.
I have
Yeah,
a sense that there's a whole bunch of us here who have a big problem with what's okay and what's not okay in our homes.
yeah, could be.
Great. So let's just look at that, and then maybe through the month in between, you can look at some of the stuff in your own life and see, okay, did I just say that, or do I have ideas of right and wrong? Okay. So the moment you have something right and something wrong, it leads to judgment. Once it leads to judgment, finding alternatives is hard because we are unwilling to risk any alternative methods. So there's no alternative to going to the bathroom and washing up and then cleaning the bathroom after that. There are no alternatives to this situation for some of us. And then when it doesn't happen that way, we get anxious. My son didn't eat a meal. He came from school and didn't eat, and I get worried. Didn't have anything immediately after school, didn't have dinner, went to bed just like that, didn't say a word to me. I'm now worried. So it builds anxiety. And the moment that anxiety comes in, it comes into our behavior, into what we say, in the way we say it. And then we have a world of winners, losers, and failures. Okay? And the moment we have that, this is where, so a lot of our anger, frustration, and injustice in the world comes from here. From believing that there is a way for things to be, that things should be a particular way. Okay? Now, I'm going to stop here. And here's some homework for you. And it'll come into your journal. Now, just remember this, you have the freedom to do it or not do it. But if you do it, then we have a conversation next time. And what I want you to do is between now and the next session, you got a whole week, is to look at the number of things that are happening in your life that you believe are the perfect way of doing things. That it's right to do this and wrong to do that. And just make a note of them. Here's the other thing. You have the freedom to put it down in the journal if you want. And the only ones who will see it is you and me. And the reason, and if you don't want to show it to me, then just write it for yourself, and that's fine. But you and me are the only ones who see it. And the idea is for me to create some opportunity for us to have a conversation over it. Okay, I'm not going to be judging what you say, but I will certainly throw some questions at you for you to consider. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah. Vishwas, could you please repeat your question?
Yeah. Can everybody put their cameras on so I can try and put face to name now, if you don't mind?
Sorry.
Whoever you are,
No,
wherever you are, you look
kitchen.
beautiful. So don't worry about
No, I was in the kitchen and I didn't want everybody to get distracted. So that
it.
is
That's
why.
cool. Okay. Yeah, Pooja, what was your question?
I just wanted to you to repeat what you just said about
Sure.
what are we supposed to do in a week's time.
Okay. So we've gone through certain things. PDF will be made available to you. So there's a certain language we're beginning to use now. And we've touched upon this idea of perfection that we have, that there is a right and wrong. And to catch yourselves in this coming week about things that you're saying to your children or to anybody else in your life, even at work, that this is right, that's the right way to do it, or that's the wrong way to do it, or whatever. What are these places that we are arriving at that are part of our quality world, and how do we articulate them in our relationships? What is it we say to people? Does that clarify?
Yeah, it does. It does. So we're
Cool.
supposed to keep a note of it in certain format that will be given
Yeah,
to us.
so Chetan's probably sending you a link to Google Classroom. And please do click on it, join the group, and then type in your stuff there. But if you don't want anybody, so you and me are the only ones who look at it.
Mhm.
Nobody else in the group sees it. You and me, and then we can have a conversation or not, or whatever your preference is. But if you put it out there, then it offers an opportunity for you to air your mind and for me to. I'm not an answering machine. I don't have the answers to a happy parenting life. I just know a little different from you. That's all.
Yeah, definitely there can be a very constructive discussion around it. And I'm sure all
Okay.
of us need to learn more than what we know as of now. So,
And if you're willing, then just put it out there. That's all.
yeah, sure.
And Vishwas, I will highly appreciate if you post that question also in that worksheet so that we don't digress from.
Yes, that will be done.
Yeah.
There'll be a
So
couple
kind
of
of a-
questions and we'll share it in the Google Classroom. It's almost like you're doing your own individual assignment sheet, just virtually. So it'll all be there. Don't worry. We'll send you the.
No problem, Che. Thanks.
And
Appreciate
you're not
it.
being judged on the basis of whether you do it or not. I know you're all very keen parents. We are all very keen parents. We just want to be a little happier than we are today. That's all. So but how's it going for you? I mean, how did it go? Is this, did this destroy your idea of 1.5 hours or what? I mean,
So let me, if you are okay, let me take the lead here.
yeah.
It's an interesting discussion. In fact, it's a start of a journey where at least I try to explore myself further. Rather than changing my kid, I'm looking at ways and means how I can be better, because outside environment I cannot change. I can change inside. So, and if I need to get a positive reaction or the reaction which I want, then I think the change has to be internal.
That's tricky business. Yeah, I know. Thank you so much, Rajiv. Thank you.
There were some keywords you used which I thought are quite eye-opening, as in mind-opening.
For you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad.
हमें तो लग रहा है सर कि parenting is more about parenting oneself.
The last
Prashant?
slide,
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yes, Anushree.
so the last slide, so I think I have to do a lot of self introspection. I think I'm going to do it this week and see that, I mean, I'm trying my level best, and I
That's
don't
it.
know where exactly I go wrong sometimes. It gets overwhelming to a point. So I think
Hey.
I have lots to do this week.
I mean, I'll guarantee you that parenting is hit and run. you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, when am I ever going to get this right? And I don't know if we ever will, but if we can be a little more joyful through the whole process, I think it's much nicer place to be in rather than regret and guilt and anger and frustration, right? I mean,
Correct.
that's the choice we are making here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have fun this coming week. Catch yourself as often
Thank
as
you.
you can.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what I feel is my relationship with my son is something that everybody sometimes feels jealous of it, you know, that both of you have something special. He's like a magic baby to me. He's 5.5 years old, very inquisitive. And he started reading Sochu. I was the first of the few people who bought the series. And he reads and rereads them. He was only listening then, and he's come to a point when he has started reading them. And you know, Chetan, I mean, he wants to talk to you personally. So maybe in one of the last sessions, if you would allow me, I'd like him to speak to you because he was so excited that you will be talking to Chetan Vora. You know, this is how he reads the title of it. This TM Chetan Vora, you know,
Superman.
thinking out, you know, so what got excited, you know, what is exciting about this workshop was an idea which I think it's happening in the same way as I had expected it to be, Vishwas. And Vishwas may not know, but I and Vishwas are connected on LinkedIn. I keep following his work. And, you know, I've been an experiential trainer myself. There are no right or wrongs, you know, actually, and there is no final word for parenting that this is the best type of parenting. And as much as I would not have thought of it, but I think I have unlearned so much with my child. And every day talking to him is the best part of it because I discover more than in him, I discovered things in myself. You know, that how he is looking at me, how he is looking at things. And it adds on to such a brilliant perspective, which I and my husband never thought about. So both of us, you know, were like very excited to, wow, you know, have you ever thought that Vivaswan is thinking like this? You know, how come I never thought about it? And he has such great answers to very complicated questions. And I'm like, my goodness, how complicated we make things. Hey, you would
True.
say it very simply, you know, why don't you do it like this? It's supposed to be like this. I said, okay. So I really hope, you know, the only thing is through this workshop is I'd like to understand the way forward, you know, the broader aspect of going ahead so that whatever he is meant to be, he is, you know, and I think I'm just a means as a parent and he chose me to come in this world. I am in true world. I want to be a facilitator for him. That's it. So thank you, Vishwas. I mean, I think whatever you said here, it really resounded very well. And I'm going to probably see this again with my husband. I wanted him to be a part of it.
Wonderful.
So both of us need to go through this. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Pooja.
For me, actually, it was the other way around. Like, I got Sochu, but my daughter, she's 12 and she reads a lot, like, as in Sudha Murthy and some other stuff. And she said, why did you order this? I mean, I thought she would like it. I mean, I have not gone through it. So it's fine. I mean, even taking into that feedback, and that's a different, I mean, the way she would prefer, or at this age, I mean, my lookout was different too. So I guess I had some different picture, as you say, and so I got them. But let's see how, I mean, whether she'll pick it up again.
There's always hope.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Stay well. See you next week. And we'll spend the first half an hour just talking about the experience we have with the idea of perfection and some other thoughts in the journaling assignment. Okay, great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Thank
Vishwa.
you.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Chetan.
Thank you for arranging this, Chetan.
You're welcome. I'm as
Yeah,
excited
it's
as all of you.
Bye.
Bye. See you guys.